All right, today we're going to demystify two of the most fundamental tools in the entire tech world, Git and GitHub. If you've ever felt kind of overwhelmed by all the jargon, or you just want to understand how the pros manage these huge, complex projects without losing their minds, well, you've come to exactly the right place. Okay, let's jump right in. Come on, we've all been there, right? Staring at a folder just packed with files named final_version 2, and my personal favorite, final_actually final, I swear this time. It's a mess, it's confusing, and honestly, when you're working on any project, it's just a recipe for disaster.
But what if I told you there's a way to escape that whole file naming nightmare for good? A system that gives you a complete, organized history of your entire project. Well, that system is called version control. And trust me, it's less of a tool and more of a superpower for anyone who makes things on a computer.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 5 simple parts. First, we'll talk about this idea of a project time machine. Then, we'll finally clear up that huge confusion between Git and GitHub. After that, we'll look at the core day-to-day workflow, see how it completely changes teamwork, and finally, we'll get to its most powerful feature, branching.
First up, let's really get our heads around this core idea of versioning. I want you to imagine having a perfect, totally reliable time machine for your project, one that lets you travel back to any point in its history instantly. That's exactly what we're talking about here.
So what is versioning, really? Well, think of it like a perfect historian for your project. Every time you hit a good stopping point, you create a snapshot, a perfect, permanent record of every single file at that exact moment. This means you can confidently go back in time, see who changed what and when, and you never have to fear losing your work again. Ever. Okay, this brings us to a huge point of confusion for, well, pretty much everyone when they're starting out. Are Git and GitHub the same thing? Let me just say it loud and clear. Nope, not at all. And let's clear up exactly why right now. The easiest way to think about it is this. Git is the tool. It's the powerful program that lives on your computer tracking all the changes and creating those historical snapshots. It's all local. GitHub, on the other hand, that's the service. It's the website, the cloud-based platform where you store your projects and, crucially, share them with your team. You can absolutely use Git all by yourself, but you can't use GitHub without Git. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? The day-to-day process of using Git is basically this simple but really powerful 3-step dance that makes up your entire workflow. Step 1, you change stuff. You write code, add an image, fix a typo, whatever it is. Step 2, you stage those changes. Now think of this like packing a specific box for your time machine. You're telling Git, hey, these exact changes right here, I want them to go into the next snapshot together. And finally, step 3, you commit. This is like sealing that box, slapping a clear label on it describing exactly what you did, and saving it forever in your project's history. All right, so we've got our local history sorted. But what happens when you're not working alone? How do we bring the team into the picture using GitHub? This is where it all goes from being a useful personal tool to an absolute powerhouse for collaboration. So, once you've made a few of those commits on your own machine, you gotta share them, right? You do that by pushing your changes up to GitHub. It's a simple command that uploads your project's history so your whole team can see your latest work. And you guessed it, it works the other way around. To get the latest updates from your teammates, you pull their changes down from GitHub to your computer. This makes sure everyone is always on the same page, working with the most up-to-date version of the project. Okay, but here's the million-dollar question. What happens when you and a teammate change the exact same line of code at the same time? This creates something called a merge conflict. And look, Git is smart, but it can't read your mind. It basically throws its hands up and says, hey, human, I need you to sort this out and tell me which version is the right one. And that's where the real professional workflow comes in. The solution is something called a pull request, or a PR for short. Instead of just shoving your changes directly into the main project, you open a PR. It's basically you saying, hey team, I've finished this feature. Can you all take a look and give it a thumbs up before we merge it in? It is the absolute cornerstone of quality control.
Okay, now we get to what is, hands down, the most powerful, game-changing feature in all of Git. We're talking about branching. This is where you get the true freedom to experiment and innovate without breaking a single thing.
So picture this. You've got a brilliant, maybe even a little crazy, new idea for your project. But you're terrified that building it might wreck everything that's already working. How do you build that?
without, setting the main project on fire?
The answer? Branching. A branch is literally a safe, duplicate timeline of your entire project. It's a parallel universe where you can go wild, try new things, make huge mistakes, and none of it will affect the stable, main version of your project. Not one bit.
And then, when your awesome new feature is done, when it's tested and you know it works perfectly, you just merge that branch back into the main one. And just like that, you seamlessly integrate all your hard work from that parallel universe, making your innovation an official part of the project. So, let's just boil it all down. If you remember one thing today, make it this. Git is the tool on your computer for tracking your project's history. GitHub is the hub online for sharing that history and working with your team. Tool and hub. Simple as that.
All right, are you ready to actually get your hands dirty and try the stuff out? GitHub Skills has some fantastic free courses right on their site. Learn Git Branching is this awesome visual tool that I really recommend for mastering that concept. And of course, the official GitHub docs are going to be your best friend down the road.
At the end of the day, this whole thing, Git and GitHub, it's way more than just a tool. It's about crafting the story of your project, one deliberate step at a time. It gives you the freedom to be bold and the confidence to build amazing things with other people. So really, the only question left is, what are you going to build next?